it feels wintry outside, I'm just not getting the magical snowy vibes that December usually gives. So this is what I'm gonna do. I need to fill my December TBR with winter fantasy books and fairy tale retellings. But finding winter fairy tales for adults turned out to be a little bit of a challenge. So I asked the internet's favorite dumpster fire of brilliance. 1920s Alaska meets magical realism plus a fairy tale. Dark feminist take on Snow White. Yes, please. A Rumpelstiltskin retelling, but with ice people. Sold. And I created the best wintry fantasy book fairy tale retelling TBR for December. Okay, first we got Spinning Silver by Naomi Novik. This one was recommended a ton. Basically, it's about this woman, Miriam, who's a daughter and a granddaughter of moneylenders. Her father has troubles collecting his debt. So they're on the edge of poverty. Miriam decides to take things into her own hands. She sets out to claim these debts that are owed and soon gains a reputation for turning silver into gold. But too much bragging draws the attention of fae creatures that seem to be more ice than human. This one also being a New York Times bestseller and named one of the best books of the year by all of those people. I think it sounds really good and I'm really excited to dive into this one. Especially since it's a retelling of Rumpelstiltskin. Rumpelstiltskin is one of my favorites. I don't know if you watched that show Once Upon a Time back when it used to play. I don't even know what that played on. It might be on Hulu now. Absolutely love the story of Rumpelstiltskin. The next winter fairy tale book that came really strongly recommended is The Bear and the Nightingale by Catherine Arden. This is actually the first book of the Winter Night trilogy. And Naomi Novik, the one that wrote the Rumpelstiltskin retelling, says that it is a beautiful, deep winter story full of magic and monsters and the sharp edges of growing up. That sounds amazing. The Washington Post said, Arden's debut novel has the cadence of a beautiful fairy tale, but is darker and more lyrical. That sounds good. It's actually a historical fantasy, which I love. It's set in medieval Russia, has elements of Russian folklore. It takes us to the edge of the Russian wilderness. I think the main character's name is Vasilisa or Vasya. I might be pronouncing that wrong. But her and her siblings love to gather by the fire and listen to the nurse's fairy tales. When Vasya's widowed father brings home a new stepmother who does not believe in honoring the spirits or any of the nurse's fairy tales, she actually makes them stop honoring the spirits that protect their home from evil. When their village is plagued by a bunch of misfortunes, and Vasya's stepmother decides it's time to groom her rebellious daughter for marriage or a convent, she needs to step up and call upon the dangerous gifts that she has kept concealed from her family in order to protect them from a threat that has sprung to life from her nurse's scariest fairy tales. The Bear and the Nightingale is the first one, The Girl in the Tower is the second one, and The Winter of the Witch is the third one. To be honest with you, I really like to dive into a series like semi, if not totally blind. So I haven't read anything at all about these books. I haven't even read the back blurb because I don't like to give anything away. I glanced at them and basically saw the words folklore, history, magic, epic, dark, extraordinary, winter, impossible to put down. So I am jacked to read this one. This next one I thought sounded super interesting. It's called The Snow Child by Eowyn Ivey. It's basically a retelling of the Russian folklore, The Snow Maiden. I read that it is very historically accurate and very descriptive when it comes to 1920s Alaska and the wilderness. So this man and woman are living in 1920s Alaska, trying to homestead, and they're trying to make a farm out of the land in this harsh wilderness. They do not have any children of their own, but they've always wanted them. They just weren't able to. So one night they build a snowman. It's a little small, so they end up calling it like a snow child. But the next morning they look out and the snow child is gone. It's just a pile of snow, and the mittens and the scarf are gone. But they see this little girl running through the trees. I have read a little bit about the Snow Maiden, the Russian folktale that this is based on. So this one I'm really excited to listen to. And I also read that the narrator on Audible is amazing. So I'll probably dive into this audiobook right away. The next one I'm so excited about is Hunted by Megan Spooner. A retelling of Beauty and the Beast set in the Russian wintry wilderness is perfect for what I'm looking for to try to feel the magic of a wintry December month. But what I'm most excited about is this is that book where you always see that dedication that's all over Pinterest. And it is one of my favorite dedications I've ever read in a book of all time. The girl who reads by flashlight, who sees dragons in the clouds, who feels most alive in worlds that never were, who knows magic is real, who dreams this is for you. it's so perfect. I cannot wait to read the book that I have had pictures of that dedication on so many Pinterest boards. And I feel like the book is going to be just as perfect as the dedication. Plus, the cover is gorgeous. Next, I found a Snow White retelling called Girls Made of Snow and Glass. I'll probably listen to this one on Audible too, but it says this is a feminist reimagining of the Snow White fairy tale. It tells both the stories of the stepmother and Snow White the daughter. It weaves different timelines so that you can really see and feel each of their stories. So the stepmother, Mina, when she was younger, her father actually replaced her heart with one made of glass, but she has a plan. She wants to know love and wants to know what love feels like. On the flip side, Lynette, who is our Snow White, looks exactly like her late mother. And she actually finds out that she was created exactly like her late mother's image out of snow by a magician on her father's order. She was literally created as her mother 2.0. But she doesn't want to be like her mother. She wants to be different. She wants to be fierce, kind of like her stepmother. But her father ends up making her the queen of the Southern Territories, when previously the stepmother had been in charge of that. So I feel like these two women are probably going to throw down, but it intertwines the stories of both the stepmother and Snow White. But from what I've read, it's a true feminist take on it, which I think is so interesting. I'm really excited to experience that type of twist in the Snow White fairy tale. And last but not least, if I have time this month, I am going to reread Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies. It's actually set in a Nordic territory and is very wintry. She's researching the fairy folk in this area that no one has ever researched before, kind of like a winter court. I love seeing inside Emily Wilde's head. I love like this academia take on folklore and reading her journal in the way that she thinks. This book is just so fun. And it actually inspired me to go travel around to different places in the world where different folk tales originated. This is one of my favorite takes on folk tales and fairy tales because it's just so unique. So if I do have time, I am going to do a reread of Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies. But that is it for my December TBR. Let me know what you are reading this month. Till then, I will see you in the next video.